What if I told you that the greatest mysteries of human history aren't buried in deserts or hidden in jungles, but lie silently beneath the waves, waiting in the crushing darkness of the deep? The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, yet we've explored less than 5% of it. That means over 95% of Earth's underwater world remains uncharted, unseen by human eyes. And in that vast, unexplored darkness, there could be secrets that rewrite everything we thought we knew about our past. Stories of lost civilizations beneath the sea have captivated us for thousands of years, from the legendary city of Atlantis, swallowed by the ocean in a single day, to ancient maps depicting lands that no longer exist. But what if these aren't just myths? What if they're clues? Think about it. Human history stretches back hundreds of thousands of years, yet recorded civilization only goes back a few thousand. What happened in all that missing time? Could advanced societies have risen and fallen long before the pyramids were built, their ruins now hidden under layers of sand and sea? Modern technology has given us glimpses of something startling. Unexplained sonar readings reveal massive, geometric structures on the ocean floor, walls too straight to be natural, pyramids submerged under miles of water. Even more baffling are the ancient flood myths found in cultures worldwide, from the Mesopotamians to the Mayans, all describing a great deluge that wiped out civilizations. Could these be distant memories of real events? This isn't just about finding crumbling ruins or forgotten artifacts. It's about uncovering a possibility so profound it changes how we see ourselves. If civilizations once thrived beneath the waves, what happened to them? Did they vanish overnight, or did they adapt, perhaps even survive in ways we can't yet imagine? From eerie underwater caves with strange carvings to bizarre deep-sea footage that defies explanation, the evidence is mounting. And today, we're going to dive into the most compelling theories, the most shocking discoveries, and the unanswered questions that keep scientists and explorers awake at night. So take a deep breath, because we're about to plunge into the unknown. The story of Atlantis begins with Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, who wrote about it in two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. He describes it as an advanced island empire, rich with resources and technological marvels, that angered the gods and was swallowed by the sea in a single catastrophic day. But here's the question that has haunted historians for centuries. Was Plato crafting a cautionary tale about hubris, or was he recording a real, lost civilization? The details he provides are strangely specific. Atlantis had concentric rings of water and land, a grand capital, and even a powerful military that waged war against ancient Athens. If it was just a myth, why include such precise geography? What's even more intriguing is that Plato wasn't the only one talking about sunken lands. The Maya spoke of a great flood that destroyed their ancestors' cities. Ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata describe a lost kingdom called Dwarka, said to have submerged beneath the waves. Even the Bible's tale of Noah's Ark echoes this theme of a world-ending deluge. Could all these stories be distorted memories of the same event, a catastrophic rise in sea levels that erased entire civilizations? Geological evidence suggests that around 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, melting glaciers caused ocean levels to rise by hundreds of feet. Coastal cities would have vanished almost overnight. Modern searches for Atlantis have led explorers to some fascinating locations. Some believe it was in the Mediterranean, near the island of Santorini, where a volcanic eruption around 1600 BC devastated the Minoan civilization. Others point to the Azores, a chain of islands in the Atlantic where underwater structures resembling man-made walls have been spotted on sonar. And then there's the Richat structure in the Sahara, a massive, circular formation that eerily matches Plato's description of Atlantis's layout. Despite decades of searching, no smoking gun has been found. But absence of proof isn't proof of absence. The ocean is vast and we've barely scratched its surface. So was Atlantis real? The truth may lie somewhere between myth and history, a legend rooted in a forgotten catastrophe, passed down through generations until only fragments remain. Whether it was a single city or a collection of lost cultures, the idea of an advanced civilization swallowed by the sea forces us to reconsider how much of human history remains hidden beneath the waves. And if Atlantis did exist, what other forgotten worlds might still be waiting to be discovered? Off the coast of Japan, in the crystal-clear waters near Yonaguni Island, lies one of the most baffling underwater discoveries of our time. A massive, terraced structure with sharp edges, perfect right angles, and what appears to be a grand staircase. The Yonaguni Monument, as it's called, stretches over 250 feet long and rises nearly 90 feet from the ocean floor. To the untrained eye, it looks unmistakably like the ruins of an ancient city, complete with platforms, pillars, and even what some claim are carved human faces. But here's where the mystery deepens. Geologists argue that this could all be the work of natural erosion, a rare but not impossible phenomenon where ocean currents and seismic activity sculpt rock into deceptively artificial-looking shapes. Then there's the underwater city discovered off the coast of Cuba in 2001, when a team of researchers stumbled upon a series of symmetrical stone formations nearly 2,000 feet below the surface. The structures appeared to be arranged in geometric patterns, some resembling pyramids, others like sprawling urban layouts. Sonar images revealed smooth, flat surfaces and what looked like deliberate alignments, features that don't typically occur in nature. But without physical evidence like tools or artifacts, the debate rages on. Could these formations be remnants of a civilization that thrived when sea levels were hundreds of feet lower, or are they just another trick of geology? The Gulf of Cambay in India adds another layer to the puzzle. In 2002, archaeologists announced the discovery of what they believed to be an ancient city submerged under 120 feet of water. Pottery shards, human remains, and even what appeared to be building foundations were carbon dated to around 9,500 years ago, thousands of years older than the Indus Valley civilization, long considered one of the world's first urban societies. If verified, this would rewrite the timeline of human development, but skeptics point to strong underwater currents that could have scattered artifacts, creating the illusion of a sunken metropolis. What makes these sites so controversial is the tension between what we see and what we can prove. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, especially ones that resemble things we've built ourselves. That's why a naturally fractured rock might look like a carved statue, or a series of underwater ridges might appear as deliberate roads, but occasionally the evidence is harder to dismiss. Take the Baltic Sea anomaly, for example, a 60-meter-wide circular structure with stair-like features and what looks like a deliberate design, or the mysterious Bimini Road in the Bahamas, a half-mile-long line of perfectly aligned limestone blocks that some believe are the remnants of an ancient harbor. The real challenge isn't just finding these structures, it's interpreting them. Without inscriptions, tools, or clear cultural markers, we're left with tantalizing possibilities. Could these sites be the fingerprints of a forgotten chapter in human history, one that unfolded when the oceans were lower and the continents looked vastly different? Or are we projecting our fascination with lost civilizations onto the random artistry of nature? One thing's for certain, as technology improves and we explore deeper, the ocean has more stories to tell. And some of them might just change everything we thought we knew. Deep beneath the waves, where sunlight never reaches and pressure could crush a submarine, our planet holds its strangest secrets. Some of the most puzzling are the unexplained formations scattered across the ocean floor, structures so precise, so unnervingly geometric, they look like they were built by human hands. Take the Baltic Sea anomaly, discovered in 2011 by a team of Swedish treasure hunters. Sonar images showed a 60-meter-wide circular object with straight edges, right angles, and what appeared to be a staircase leading to its center. The shape was so uncannily artificial that speculation exploded. Was this a sunken UFO, an ancient temple, or even a long-lost Nazi anti-submarine device? Scientists later suggested it might be a glacial deposit, a natural formation carved by ice age movements. But here's what's fascinating. Samples taken from the site contained metals not typically found in underwater geology, including limonite and goethite, materials often associated with human-made structures. Then there's the story of the Malibu underwater canyon, just off the coast of California. High-resolution sonar mapping revealed a series of perfectly straight, mile-long lines that intersect at precise 90-degree angles, like a grid from an ancient city. Marine geologists argue these could be fault lines or ancient riverbeds, but the sheer regularity is unsettling. Similar formations have been spotted near the Azores, where divers found what looked like stepped pyramids under 300 feet of water. Local legends speak of a lost civilization called the Anchorites, said to have built stone towers that later vanished beneath the waves. Perhaps the most tantalizing clue comes from satellite imagery. In 2009, researchers analyzing Google Earth noticed a strange, grid-like pattern on the ocean floor northwest of Africa. The area, roughly the size of Wales, showed what appeared to be streets and buildings under 20,000 feet of water. Some theorized it could be the remnants of Atlantis, while others dismissed it as a glitch in the sonar data. But when independent teams surveyed the area, they found the patterns persisted across multiple scans. The truth, we still don't know. What makes these anomalies so compelling isn't just their shape, it's their scale. The Baltic Sea anomaly is larger than a football field. The Malibu grid stretches for miles. If these were natural formations, they'd be geological oddities unlike anything else on Earth. But if they're man-made or made by some unknown intelligence, their existence rewrites history. Modern scanning technology, like autonomous underwater drones and AI-powered sonar analysis, is finally giving us the tools to investigate these sites in detail. Yet for every mystery solved, two more seem to emerge. The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. Currents shift, sediments bury, and time erases. But as we keep looking, keep probing those dark, silent depths, one thing becomes clear. The story of human civilization might be far older, far stranger, and far more submerged than we ever imagined. And the next big discovery could be just a sonar ping away. Buried beneath the hills of southeastern Turkey, the ancient stones of Göbekli Tepe tell a story that shouldn't exist. This sprawling complex of massive, intricately carved pillars dates back an astonishing 12,000 years, a time when historians believed humans were simple hunter-gatherers, incapable of large-scale construction. Yet here we have proof of an advanced society with architectural skills, artistic expression, and possibly even astronomical knowledge, all predating the pyramids by 6,000 years. The discovery forces us to ask, if humans were building monumental structures this sophisticated so early, what else were they capable of? And more importantly, what happened to them? This timeline coincides eerily with one of Earth's most dramatic climate upheavals, the Younger Dryas period. Around 12,800 years ago, global temperatures plummeted suddenly, triggering a mini ice age that lasted over a millennium. But here's where it gets chilling. Some scientists believe this catastrophe wasn't natural. It was caused by a comet or asteroid impact. Evidence includes microscopic diamonds found across North America, formed under extreme pressure, and a layer of platinum-rich sediment matching cosmic debris. The impact theory suggests fiery fragments struck ice sheets, causing massive flooding as glaciers melted overnight. Sea levels rose catastrophically, swallowing coastal cities whole. If this happened, could Göbekli Tepe be a clue to a lost chapter of human history? Its builders may have witnessed this apocalyptic event and survived. The site's elaborate carvings include strange symbols some interpret as a celestial map, possibly recording the comet strike. Even more intriguing are the reliefs of scorpions and vultures, creatures associated with death and rebirth in ancient cultures. Were these artists preserving a warning for future generations? Now imagine the survivors, with rising waters devouring their cities. Where would they go? Some theorists propose they didn't just flee inland, they adapted. Coastal societies with maritime knowledge might have built temporary refuges on what are now submerged continental shelves. The Persian Gulf, for example, was once a fertile river valley called the Gulf Oasis, before being flooded around 8,000 years ago. Underwater surveys there have revealed ancient riverbeds and potential settlement sites. Similar submerged landscapes exist off India's coast, where the lost city of Dwarka is said to lie, and in the North Sea's Doggerland, a vast prehistoric hunting ground now under 400 feet of water. The implications are staggering. If advanced cultures existed before the Younger Dryas catastrophe, their greatest achievements could be sitting on the ocean floor, preserved in the cold, dark depths. Structures like Göbekli Tepe were meant to last. What if their coastal counterparts were just as durable? Modern sonar has already detected anomalies that resemble sunken cities off Cuba, Japan, and the Mediterranean. But without definitive proof, the scientific community remains divided. Perhaps the most provocative question isn't whether these civilizations existed, but why we can't find them. The ocean is Earth's greatest preservative. Saltwater slows decay, and the lack of oxygen at depth prevents corrosion. Entire cities could be down there, intact, waiting in the silence. As climate change accelerates glacial melt, revealing long-buried artifacts in places like Norway and the Alps, we might soon have our answer. The next decade of underwater archaeology could uncover ruins that force us to rewrite history, not in centuries but in millennia. And if that happens, Göbekli Tepe won't be an anomaly anymore. It'll be the first piece of a puzzle we're only beginning to understand. Exploring the deepest parts of our oceans isn't just difficult, it's nearly as challenging as venturing into outer space. The crushing pressure at these depths can reach over 16,000 pounds per square inch, enough to crumple steel like paper. Total darkness envelops everything below 650 feet, where sunlight can no longer penetrate. And the temperatures hover just above freezing, creating an environment as hostile as any on Earth. Yet this is where some of history's greatest secrets might be hiding. Even with cutting-edge technology, we've barely scratched the surface, literally. Modern submersibles like the Deep-Sea Challenger, which carried filmmaker James Cameron nearly 7 miles down to the Mariana Trench in 2012, can only withstand these conditions for short periods. These vehicles are engineering marvels, built with thick titanium hulls and advanced pressure-resistant materials. but they're also slow, expensive, and limited in range. Mapping the ocean floor in detail would take centuries at our current pace, and that's assuming we could even detect ruins buried under layers of sediment or camouflaged by coral growth. The deeper we go, the stranger the challenges become. Sonar works well for broad surveys, but distinguishing between natural rock formations and man-made structures requires up-close examination, something remotely operated vehicles struggle with in strong currents. Underwater archaeology faces another hurdle: time. Saltwater erodes materials differently than soil or sand. Wooden structures may vanish entirely, while stone could be worn smooth or encrusted with marine growth. Even metal artifacts, if they existed, might have corroded beyond recognition over millennia, yet the potential rewards are unimaginable. Breakthroughs in robotics and AI could revolutionize deep-sea exploration. Autonomous drones equipped with high-resolution lasers and 3D imaging might one day scan vast stretches of the ocean floor, flagging anomalies for closer inspection. Scientists are already experimenting with synthetic aperture sonar, which creates startlingly clear images of submerged objects. And projects like Ocean Infinity's robotic fleets promise to map the entire seabed by 2030. What if the key to finding lost civilizations isn't just better technology but rethinking where we look? During the last ice age, sea levels were nearly 400 feet lower. Entire coastlines now underwater were once thriving habitats. Ancient humans likely lived near shores rich with resources, meaning their settlements would now be submerged. Places like the Sunda Shelf in Southeast Asia or the Bering Land Bridge could hide ruins we've never considered. The ocean guards its secrets fiercely, but every year we get closer to uncovering them. Whether it's a faint sonar ping revealing geometric shapes or a drone capturing something inexplicable on camera, each discovery brings us one step closer to answering the ultimate question: are we alone in history, or were there others before us, swallowed by the sea? Stories of underwater civilizations often brush against something even more extraordinary: the possibility that humans could have evolved to live beneath the waves. Imagine a society so advanced or so desperate that it found ways to adapt biologically to the ocean's depths. Legends of merfolk and aquatic humanoids span the globe, from the fish-tailed gods of Mesopotamian myths to the nomadic Bajau people of Southeast Asia, known for their ability to dive 70 feet on a single breath. These aren't just fairy tales, they're echoes of a question that lingers at the edge of science. Could humans, under the right conditions, become creatures of the sea? The Bajau, often called sea nomads, offer a startling glimpse into real-world aquatic adaptation. Studies show their spleens are 50% larger than average, allowing them to store more oxygenated blood for prolonged dives. Some even develop the ability to constrict blood vessels in their extremities, redirecting oxygen to vital organs, a trait shared with marine mammals like seals. These aren't random mutations, they're the result of generations living in harmony with the ocean. If such changes can occur in just a few centuries, what might millennia of selective pressure accomplish? Ancient civilizations with maritime knowledge could have pushed these adaptations even further, deliberately breeding or modifying their bodies for underwater survival. Then there's the speculative side of science. Researchers like Dr. Nix Martinez have explored the concept of amphibious humans through projects like the Triton, a theoretical oxygen-extracting gill mask. While still in early stages, the idea isn't pure fantasy. Certain species of fish can extract oxygen from water through specialized organs, and scientists have successfully grown artificial gill structures in lab settings. If an ancient culture possessed advanced biotechnology or even a crude understanding of selective adaptation, could they have engineered similar solutions? The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek device often called the world's first computer, proves that sophisticated technology existed far earlier than we once believed. But biology isn't the only path. What if these hypothetical underwater dwellers relied on technology rather than evolution? The ancient city of Alexandria once housed a marvel called the water organ, a hydraulic-powered musical instrument that hinted at a deep understanding of pressure and fluid dynamics. Could similar principles have been used to create pressurized habitats or diving suits? Plato described Atlantis as a city of canals and concentric rings, a design that suggests advanced hydroengineering. If they could manipulate water on that scale, might they have also developed ways to live within it? The deeper we dive into this idea, the more lines blur between myth and possibility. Consider the recurring symbols in ancient art: fish-human hybrids on Sumerian tablets, the half-piscine owns of Babylonian legend, even the Dogon tribe's stories of amphibious beings who brought them knowledge. These motifs are too widespread to dismiss as coincidence. They could be distorted memories of a culture that mastered the sea, or perhaps something even stranger. Marine biologists have discovered organisms thriving near hydrothermal vents, surviving in conditions once thought impossible. If life can adapt to such extremes, why not humans? Of course, mainstream science remains skeptical. Without physical evidence of underwater cities or genetically altered remains, these theories stay in the realm of speculation. But the ocean is vast, and our exploration of it has barely begun. Every year, new species are discovered in the deep, creatures with bioluminescent skin or transparent bodies, proof that evolution can take bizarre turns under pressure. Who's to say humans couldn't have followed a similar path, given enough time or necessity? The real mystery isn't just whether ancient civilizations lived beneath the waves, it's how much we still don't know about our own potential. As genetic engineering and marine technology advance, we might one day answer these questions ourselves. Until then, the legends endure, whispering of a time when the line between land and sea was far less defined. And somewhere in those uncharted depths, the truth may still be waiting. Down in the abyss, where the ocean floor splits open and superheated water erupts from the Earth's core, something extraordinary thrives. Hydrothermal vents, these deep sea geysers, spew mineral-rich plumes at temperatures hot enough to melt lead, yet they're surrounded by thriving ecosystems. Tube worms the size of humans cluster around them. Blind shrimp navigate by thermal sensors, and bacteria convert toxic chemicals into energy through a process called chemosynthesis. This isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's proof that life can flourish without sunlight, without oxygen, in conditions we once thought impossible. Now imagine if an ancient civilization discovered these vents. What could they have built with that knowledge? The energy potential here is staggering. A single black smoke event can release enough heat to power a small town. Modern researchers are already exploring ways to harness this geothermal energy, with prototypes like underwater turbines that convert thermal gradients into electricity. But what if someone cracked this code thousands of years earlier? Ancient cultures revered sacred springs and thermal pools. The Romans built entire cities around natural hot springs. Could that fascination have been more than practical? Might they have recognized these deep sea vents as something even more powerful? Legends hint at this possibility. The Maori of New Zealand speak of the underwater palace of Tangaroa, god of the sea, lit by glowing stones that never dim. Greek myths describe the forges of Hephaestus bubbling beneath volcanoes, their fires eternal. Even Plato's Atlantis was said to have canals fed by both hot and cold springs, an oddly specific detail for a fictional city. If these stories preserve fragmented memories of real technology, could geothermal energy have been their power source? Modern discoveries add weight to the theory. Near the lost city Hydrothermal field in the Atlantic, scientists found carbonate towers 30 stories tall, their porous structures eerily similar to ancient coral castles like those in Florida. More intriguing are the vent-dwelling bacteria that generate light through bioluminescence, a natural version of the ever-burning lamps described in Egyptian and Hindu texts. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania recently recreated this process artificially, proving that bioluminescent lighting isn't just possible, it's sustainable. The real breakthrough might lie in how these systems interconnect. Hydrothermal vents create mineral deposits as they cool, forming rich veins of copper, zinc, and even gold. An advanced society could have used these materials to construct pressure-resistant structures or create conductive alloys. Combine that with chemosynthetic food chains, and you have the blueprint for a self-sustaining underwater colony. The pieces all exist in nature, they just need the ingenuity to assemble them. Critics argue that without physical evidence like tools or infrastructure near known vent sites, this remains speculative. But consider this, active vents are notoriously unstable. Eruptions can bury entire ecosystems in days, and tectonic shifts might have submerged any nearby ruins under layers of new crust. Passive vents, now dormant, could hold better clues, but we've explored less than 1% of them. Perhaps the most tantalizing thought isn't whether ancient people used hydrothermal energy, but whether we're rediscovering what they already knew. As deep-sea mining companies eye these mineral-rich zones and biologists study vent life for medical breakthroughs, we might stumble upon artifacts that rewrite history. The ocean floor isn't just a graveyard for lost civilizations, it could be a library, waiting for us to decipher its geothermal-powered secrets. The Earth's surface is far more fluid than we often realize. Continents rise, fall, and shift over epochs, rewriting the map in ways that defy our sense of permanence. Take Zealandia, a submerged landmass nearly the size of India that lies beneath the Pacific Ocean east of Australia. Satellite gravity maps reveal its contours with startling clarity. Mountain ranges that once scraped the sky, valleys that cradled rivers, and vast plains that could have supported entire ecosystems. Geological core samples show evidence of ancient forests and unique species that evolved in isolation. Zealandia wasn't just a landmass, it was a lost world, fully above water as recently as 23 million years ago. And if nature could erase something that enormous, what else has it swallowed? This isn't just about Zealandia. Across the globe, fragments of forgotten continents lurk beneath the waves. The Kerguelen Plateau in the Indian Ocean, now a kilometer underwater, was once a volcanic island 3 times the size of Japan. Sediment cores from the region contain fossilized pollen and coal, proof of a temperate climate and thriving plant life. Then there's Doggerland, the fertile plains that connected Britain to Europe before rising seas drowned it around 6,500 years ago. Archaeologists have pulled spear points, animal bones, and even human artifacts from its submerged soils, tangible reminders that these weren't just geological features, but homelands. The mechanics behind these disappearances are as fascinating as the lost lands themselves. Plate tectonics constantly reshapes the planet, with continental crust stretching, thinning, and sometimes sinking below sea level. But the real game changer is glacial cycles. During ice ages, so much water gets locked in glaciers that sea levels can drop by 400 feet, exposing vast coastal shelves. When temperatures rise again, the meltwater floods back in with terrifying speed. For early humans living near shorelines, these weren't gradual changes, they were existential threats. Oral histories from indigenous Australian cultures describe coastlines vanishing overnight, tsunamis swallowing villages, and ancestors fleeing inland. Could some of these stories preserve memories of real, catastrophic flooding events? Now consider the implications for human history. If land masses like Zealandia or Doggerland existed within reach of early civilizations, why couldn't others have hosted advanced societies? The Sunderland Shelf in Southeast Asia, now submerged, was once a sprawling savanna larger than California. Genetic studies suggest it may have been a cradle for human migration, with populations spreading outward as waters rose. And then there's the controversial case of Kumarikandam, a legendary Tamil civilization said to have existed south of India before being consumed by the ocean. While mainstream archaeology dismisses it as myth, recent underwater surveys off Sri Lanka's coast have revealed stone structures and freshwater springs at depths matching ancient sea level changes. The challenge lies in the evidence or lack of it. Ocean floors are brutal archives, saltwater corrodes metal, currents scatter artifacts, and sediments bury ruins under layers of silt. Unlike terrestrial sites where pottery shards or foundation stones might survive for millennia, underwater civilizations would leave only the sturdiest traces. But occasionally, the sea gives up a clue. Off the coast of Norway, sonar has detected what appear to be artificial mounds at depths corresponding to Ice Age shorelines. In the Caribbean, underwater caves contain prehistoric human remains alongside tools and fire pits, proof that people once lived where only fish swim today. What if we're not just searching for lost continents, but lost chapters of human ingenuity? Imagine a culture that mastered boat building or aquaculture, adapting to rising waters instead of fleeing. Or a society that harnessed geothermal vents for energy, as we explored earlier, creating sustainable habitats on shallow shelves later submerged. The more we learn about ancient humans, their resilience, their creativity, the harder it becomes to assume they couldn't have thrived in places we now consider unreachable. The ocean guards its secrets well, but every few years, a discovery hints at what might lie beneath. Whether it's a strangely symmetrical sonar reading or a tool dredged up from the abyss, these fragments tease us with possibilities. And as technology lets us peer deeper into the blue, we might finally answer the haunting question: how many human stories have been lost to the waves? The Phoenicians didn't just sail the Mediterranean, they dominated it. Around 3,000 years ago, these master shipbuilders created vessels so sturdy they could cross the Atlantic, according to some historians. Their secret, a technique called shell-first construction, where planks were joined with mortise and tenon joints so precise they needed no nails. Watertight and flexible, these ships could withstand monstrous waves, but here's the lingering question. If they could craft such advanced vessels, what else might they have built beneath the waves? Off the coast of Malta, divers have found eerie underwater cart ruts, parallel grooves carved into bedrock that mirror those on land, where they're thought to be ancient transportation paths. But these submerged versions stretch into the abyss, as if leading to something we've yet to discover. Were they docks for ships when sea levels were lower, or part of a larger, sunken infrastructure? Then there's the case of Dwarka, the legendary city off India's western coast. Ancient texts describe it as a fortress of gold and emerald, protected by towering gates that sank beneath the waves. Modern excavations have revealed massive stone blocks, pottery shards, and even an anchor stone, all dated to at least 3,500 years ago. The layout suggests a sophisticated port city with structures positioned to break waves and channel currents. but the most baffling detail: some stones show drill marks too precise for Bronze Age tools. Could these builders have had access to technology we've underestimated or forgotten? Polynesian navigators add another layer to the mystery. Without compasses or maps, they crossed thousands of miles of open ocean using only the stars, wave patterns, and the flight paths of birds. Their double-hulled canoes, or wakolua, were feats of engineering capable of carrying families and livestock for months. Oral histories speak of submerged homelands like Hawaii, a mythical ancestral island now lost beneath the Pacific. While most archaeologists dismiss these as symbolic, recent sonar surveys near Tonga have revealed terraced structures under 300 feet of water, some resembling the stepped pyramids of land-based Polynesian temples. What ties these cultures together is their intimate relationship with the sea. They didn't just live near water, they understood its rhythms, its dangers, and its possibilities. The Phoenicians harvested murex snails to create Tyrian purple dye, a process requiring precise tidal knowledge. Polynesians developed mental star compasses that encoded ocean currents like a celestial GPS. If these societies could decode such complexities, might they have also experimented with underwater construction? Consider the Yonaguni monument again, its terraces and staircases eerily similar to Polynesian ceremonial platforms. Or the submerged megaliths near Sicily, where stones weighing tons are arranged in patterns that mirror Phoenician harbor works. The ocean wasn't just a highway for these cultures, it was a frontier. And frontiers inspire innovation. Maybe they built fish farms out of stacked stones or tidal-powered shrines that only flooded during full moons. The evidence is fragmentary, but the implication is profound. Ancient maritime technology might have been far more versatile than we've dared to imagine. The real challenge isn't proving they could build underwater. It's accepting that we might have drastically misjudged their capabilities. When a civilization spends generations mastering the sea, their greatest achievements could be hidden in the last place we've thought to look beneath it. Imagine standing at the mouth of a flooded cave where the water is so clear it looks like air, and the darkness beyond swallows your flashlight beam whole. This is Sac Acton in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, a submerged labyrinth stretching over 215 miles, the longest underwater cave system on Earth. Divers here have found more than just stalactites and blind fish. Hidden in its chambers are human bones dating back at least 9,000 years, pottery shards from ancient Maya rituals, and even the skeleton of a giant ground sloth, suggesting these caves were once dry and accessible. But what's truly staggering is how little of these networks we've explored. Every year, new passages are discovered, twisting deeper into the Earth. If a single cave system can hold this many secrets, what might lie in the thousands of others still unmapped? These underwater caves aren't just accidental time capsules, they were deliberate spaces for the people who used them. The Maya believed caves were portals to Xibalba, the underworld, and filled them with offerings, jade beads, carved figurines, and the remains of sacred ceremonies. In the cenotes of the Yucatan, divers have found altars and human skulls arranged in eerie patterns, suggesting these flooded chambers were once bustling with spiritual activity. But here's the chilling part. Some caves show signs of long-term habitation, not just ritual use. Fire pits built on ledges above ancient waterlines, tools fashioned from cave minerals, and even remnants of woven mats hint that people didn't just visit these places, they might have lived in them temporarily, or even used them as refuges during droughts or conflicts. Now consider the geology. During the last ice age, when sea levels were hundreds of feet lower, many of these caves were dry, interconnected tunnels. As the oceans rose, they flooded gradually, giving inhabitants time to adapt or retreat deeper into the labyrinth. In the Bahamas' Lucayan caverns, explorers have found submerged stalagmites that only form in dry air, proving the caves were once above water. Even more intriguing are the blue holes, vertical sinkholes that drop straight into the abyss. Sonar scans of these formations reveal side passages leading to vast chambers, some large enough to hold stadiums. Could entire communities have taken shelter in these hidden spaces as the waters rose? The challenge is that underwater caves are among the most dangerous environments on Earth to explore. Narrow passages twist unexpectedly, sediments can cloud visibility in seconds, and the phenomenon of halocline layers where fresh and saltwater meet create disorienting visual distortions. Yet despite these risks, discoveries keep coming. In 2018, divers in Sac Acton stumbled upon a cave so vast they dubbed it the mother of all cenotes, with ceilings high enough to fit a 10-story building. Inside were intact clay pots and a ceremonial fire pit, preserved like a snapshot from the past. Meanwhile, off the coast of Florida, the underwater river cave system stretches for miles beneath the Gulf of Mexico, its walls etched with symbols no one has yet deciphered. The real mystery isn't just what we've found, it's what these caves imply about human resilience. If ancient people navigated these treacherous networks for shelter or worship, how much more might they have accomplished along now submerged coastlines? Coastal caves in Norway contain Stone Age artwork depicting boats and sea creatures, proving early humans were intimately familiar with the ocean. Could their counterparts elsewhere have built more permanent structures in shallow caves that later flooded? With each new discovery, the line between myth and history blurs further. Perhaps the most tantalizing thought is this: we're only seeing the caves we can access. The majority of Earth's underwater caverns lie in the twilight zone, beyond safe diving limits, waiting for robots or new technologies to reveal their secrets. And somewhere in those uncharted passages, the remnants of forgotten societies might still be waiting silent witnesses to a time when the boundaries between land and sea were far more fluid than we ever imagined. In the shadowy depths where submarines tread cautiously, military sonar operators have logged encounters that defy conventional explanation. Declassified reports from the United States Navy describe unidentified submersible objects, or USO, moving at speeds surpassing any known human-made vessel, performing maneuvers that would rip apart standard hulls. One such incident occurred in 2019 off the coast of San Diego, when pilots tracking a fast-moving object watched it vanish into the ocean with no splash or wake. The craft reportedly descended over 700 feet in seconds before disappearing from radar behavior inconsistent with any known submarine technology. The Soviet Navy recorded similar anomalies during the Cold War. Documents released after the USSR's collapse detail an incident near the Puerto Rico Trench, where sonar detected a massive, cigar-shaped object descending beyond measurable depths, nearly 27,000 feet far below the crush depth of any military sub. Even more perplexing are the accounts from naval officers who have witnessed USOs emitting strange luminescence, described as pulsing bioluminescent rings that ripple through the water without apparent propulsion. Governments have historically dismissed these sightings as misidentified marine life, temperature inversions, or classified military tests. But the consistency of reports across decades and nations raises unsettling questions. Why do these objects consistently exhibit physics-defying capabilities? Why are they drawn to nuclear assets with multiple sightings near aircraft carriers and submarine bases? The Pentagon's 2021 UAP Task Force report reluctantly acknowledged that some phenomena demonstrate advanced technology, though it stopped short of speculating on origins. The secrecy surrounding these encounters fuels speculation. In 1969, the crew of the USS Trepang took photographs of a colossal, disc-shaped object emerging from Arctic ice, images classified for 40 years. More recently, the Norwegian Navy abruptly abandoned a high-profile sonar mapping project near the Baltic Sea anomaly after detecting acoustic interference patterns matching no known natural source. When pressed, officials cited operational concerns but released no technical data. Skeptics argue these anomalies could be experimental drones or undisclosed energy phenomena like deep-sea plasma discharges. Yet former intelligence officers like Luis Elizondo, who headed the Pentagon's OTIP program, insist some cases involve technology 50 to 1,000 years ahead of ours. The implications are staggering. If these aren't human-made, who or what is operating in our oceans with such sophistication? And why has every major government treated these encounters as national security secrets rather than scientific curiosities? One theory suggests these phenomena might be linked to the very lost civilizations we've been exploring. Could remnants of an ancient, advanced culture have survived in isolated deep-sea habitats, developing technology that appears supernatural to us? Or are we witnessing something even more extraordinary, visitors from beyond Earth who have long recognized the ocean as the perfect hiding place? The truth may lie buried in classified archives or scattered across sonar logs few civilians will ever see. But as deep-sea exploration technology advances, the barriers to discovery are crumbling. Sooner or later, the ocean will yield its secrets, and when it does, we may find that the line between myth and reality was far thinner than we ever dared to believe. From the frozen tundras of Siberia to the rainforests of the Amazon, every corner of our planet echoes with stories of a great flood, stories so similar in their details that they can't be dismissed as mere coincidence. The ancient Babylonians wrote of the gods sending a deluge to wipe out humanity, sparing only the righteous Utnapishtim, who built a giant ark. The indigenous Lummi people of the Pacific Northwest tell of a time when the waters rose so high that the few survivors tied their canoes to mountaintops. Even in Australia, Aboriginal traditions speak of a vast inland sea that once flooded the entire continent, leaving only the highest peaks untouched. These aren't just isolated legends, they're fragments of a global memory passed down through generations like a warning. What's startling is how these stories align with geological reality. Around 12,000 years ago, as the last ice age ended, melting glaciers triggered a dramatic rise in sea levels, a phenomenon known as meltwater pulse 1b. Coastal plains that had been dry land for millennia vanished underwater in a matter of centuries. In the Black Sea region, evidence suggests a catastrophic flood occurred when rising Mediterranean waters burst through the Bosporus Strait, turning a freshwater lake into a saltwater sea almost overnight. Sediment cores from the area show a sudden shift from freshwater to marine organisms, consistent with a deluge of biblical proportions. For the people living there, it would have been an apocalypse. But here's where the debate ignites. Mainstream archaeology insists these floods happened too early to affect human civilizations, which supposedly hadn't yet developed large settlements. Yet sites like Göbekli Tepe prove humans were capable of complex society far earlier than we once thought. And if a single flood event could etch itself so deeply into cultural memory, what does that say about the societies it destroyed? The Mahabharata, an ancient Indian epic, describes the city of Dwarka sinking beneath the waves after a great war, a story once dismissed as fantasy until underwater ruins matching its description were found off India's coast. The most compelling evidence might lie in the details these myths share. Nearly all describe a divinely sent warning, a chosen survivor, and animals saved in pairs, elements too specific to be pure invention. The Aztecs spoke of a man named Coxcox who escaped the flood in a hollowed-out cypress tree with his wife, mirroring Noah's story. The Maori of New Zealand tell of a hero who lashed his canoe to a mountain to ride out the rising tides, just like the Lummi. These parallels suggest more than just shared imagination. They hint at a shared experience, a trauma so vast it shaped the worldview of every culture that endured it. Critics argue that flood myths are simply humanity's way of explaining natural disasters, a universal response to the terrifying power of water. But when you map these stories against the known flood events of prehistory, the overlaps are hard to ignore. The real question isn't whether the floods happened, it's whether they erased more than just landscapes. Could they have wiped out entire chapters of human history, leaving only echoes in our oldest stories? As we keep searching the ocean floor for answers, each discovery brings us closer to understanding why these tales still haunt us today. Consider the Great Pyramid of Giza, a structure so precisely aligned to true north that it rivals modern astronomical calculations. Its base is level to within just 2 centimeters across an area covering 13 acres, and the mortar binding its stones remains chemically unidentifiable, defying replication even today. This isn't just impressive craftsmanship, it's a silent challenge to our assumptions about ancient technology. If civilizations thousands of years ago could achieve such feats without the tools we recognize, what else might they have mastered? Theories about lost sciences often point to the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek device considered the world's first analog computer. Its gears could predict lunar eclipses and track planetary movements with startling accuracy. But here's the unsettling implication. Technology this sophisticated doesn't appear in isolation. It suggests a lineage of knowledge, a tradition of engineering that either vanished or was deliberately suppressed. Could the same minds that crafted such intricate mechanisms have also designed structures capable of withstanding the ocean's fury? Look at the submerged ruins near the Japanese island of Yonaguni. The monument's flat terraces and sharp 90-degree angles seem unmistakably man-made, yet they lie under 100 feet of water, a depth consistent with sea levels from the last ice age. If humans built this, they did so when mammoths still roamed the earth. But how? Ancient texts like the Indian Vedas describe flying machines called vimanas and weapons that could dry up rivers. While mainstream scholars dismiss these as myth, the precision of the Yonaguni formations forces us to wonder, could these stories preserve fragments of real, advanced hydroengineering techniques? Even more provocative are the acoustic properties of certain ancient sites. Experiments at Malta's Hypogeum, a labyrinthine underground temple, reveal that its chambers resonate at frequencies that induce trance-like states. The builders carved this space with an understanding of sound physics we've only recently rediscovered. If they could manipulate acoustics to alter consciousness, might they have also known how to construct resonant barriers against water pressure or harness tidal energy? The gaps in our historical record aren't just missing puzzle pieces, they're entire chapters ripped from the book. When Plato wrote of Atlantis sinking in a single day and night, he could have been describing a catastrophic tectonic event like the Storegga Slide, an underwater landslide off Norway that triggered tsunamis 6,000 years ago. Such disasters wouldn't just destroy cities, they'd obliterate the very evidence of their existence, leaving only distorted legends in their wake. What if the real mystery isn't whether these civilizations existed, but why we're so resistant to the idea? Modern archaeology often operates on a linear timeline of human progress, where each advancement builds predictably on the last. But nature doesn't work that way. Evolution is full of dead ends and lost branches. Human history could be the same. The ocean's depths may hold not just sunken cities, but entire paradigms of knowledge we've yet to imagine. And until we're willing to question what we think we know, those secrets will stay buried beneath the waves. The ocean floor is no longer the impenetrable frontier it once was. Cutting-edge technologies are peeling back the layers of darkness, revealing secrets hidden for millennia. Autonomous underwater vehicles equipped with high-resolution sonar now glide effortlessly through crushing depths, their sensors painting detailed 3D maps of the seabed. These robotic explorers have already located shipwrecks like the USS Indianapolis at 18,000 feet, a depth that would have been unreachable just decades ago. But it's not just sunken warships catching researchers' attention. The same technology has detected anomalous formations off the coast of Malta, rectangular structures with 90-degree angles that mirror ancient megalithic temples on land. One of the most ambitious efforts is the Ocean Exploration Trust's Nautilus program, which deploys remotely operated vehicles capable of delicately excavating artifacts without disturbing their watery graves. Their recent survey of the Aegean Sea uncovered a submerged Neolithic settlement near Greece's Franche Thai cave, complete with stone tools and pottery dating back 8,000 years, proof that coastal communities thrived where only fish swim today. Even more groundbreaking is their work with laser scanning technology, which can create photorealistic digital reconstructions of underwater sites. This means archaeologists can now study a precise virtual replica of a sunken city without ever getting wet. The game changer has been synthetic aperture sonar, a revolutionary imaging system that produces scans so clear they can distinguish between a natural rock and a carved stone block from hundreds of feet away. When researchers tested this technology near the Azores, they identified a series of stepped platforms resembling the pyramids of Mesoamerica, but submerged under 2,000 feet of water. While debate continues about whether these formations are natural or man-made, the resolution of these scans is eliminating the guesswork that plagued earlier discoveries. Perhaps the most exciting development is the marriage of artificial intelligence with underwater exploration. Machine learning algorithms can now analyze millions of sonar readings in minutes, flagging potential archaeological sites that human eyes might miss. In 2023, an AI reviewing data from the Black Sea pinpointed 27 previously unknown shipwrecks, including a remarkably intact Byzantine merchant vessel from the 10th century. This same technology is being trained to recognize the geometric patterns characteristic of human construction, scanning the ocean floor for the telltale signs of lost civilizations. What makes this moment so pivotal isn't just the technology, it's the collaboration. Universities, governments, and private companies are pooling resources in unprecedented ways. The Seabed 2030 project aims to map the entire ocean floor by the end of the decade, using a fleet of unmanned surface vehicles that work around the clock. Meanwhile, deep-sea drones equipped with robotic arms and precision suction devices can now retrieve artifacts without damaging fragile remnants. The implications are staggering. Every year, we're discovering that human history extends far beyond the coastlines we know. From potential road systems beneath the Gulf of Mexico to circular stone arrangements in the North Sea that predate Stonehenge, the evidence is mounting that we've underestimated our ancestors' relationship with the ocean. As these tools grow more sophisticated, we may finally answer questions that have haunted us for centuries, not through speculation but with hard data pulled from the abyss. The age of underwater exploration has truly begun, and with each dive, we're rewriting the story of humankind. Climate change is reshaping our planet's coastlines at an unprecedented pace, revealing long-hidden secrets while simultaneously burying others beneath rising tide. Glaciers that have held their form for millennia are now retreating at alarming rates, exposing landscapes and potentially ancient structures that haven't seen daylight since the last ice age. In Alaska and Norway, melting ice has uncovered artifacts like wooden tools, leather garments, and even hunting blinds used by prehistoric peoples, preserved perfectly in the frozen ground. But while these discoveries offer glimpses into the past, they also hint at something larger. If small, everyday objects can survive for thousands of years in ice, what monumental ruins might lie beneath the waves, just waiting for the right conditions to emerge? At the same time, rising sea levels are swallowing coastal sites faster than archaeologists can document them. In the Mediterranean, ancient ports and settlements that were safely above water for centuries are now vanishing under the waves, their walls crumbling as storms and erosion accelerate. The Roman city of Baiae, once a luxurious resort for emperors, is being reclaimed by the sea, its mosaic floors and marble statues slowly dissolving in the salt water. Similarly, in the Caribbean, indigenous Taino ceremonial sites are disappearing under rising tides, taking with them irreplaceable clues about pre-Columbian cultures. It's a cruel irony. Just as technology gives us the tools to explore these underwater worlds, climate change is erasing them before we can fully understand what they represent. This dual reality discovery and loss has turned underwater archaeology into a race against time. Teams are now using predictive modeling to identify areas where retreating ice or shifting shorelines might expose new sites. In Sweden, researchers have pinpointed locations where ancient forests, submerged for thousands of years, are resurfacing as glaciers melt. These drowned woodlands contain not just tree stumps, but also remnants of early human campsites, suggesting that entire coastal communities once thrived where there's now only water. Meanwhile, in the Gulf of Mexico, sonar scans have revealed potential human-made structures under layers of sediment, their outlines visible only because stronger hurricanes fueled by warming oceans have scoured the seabed clean. But the urgency isn't just about saving artifacts, it's about rewriting history. Traditional narratives assume that early humans were primitive nomads, yet emerging evidence suggests some may have built sophisticated settlements along now submerged coastlines. The discovery of a 9,000-year-old stone wall beneath the Baltic Sea, for example, challenges the idea that hunter-gatherers couldn't organize large-scale construction. If rising seas drowned similar sites worldwide, how much of our origin story is missing? The Doggerland landmass, which connected Britain to Europe, was home to thriving Mesolithic communities before it vanished beneath the North Sea. As erosion exposes its remains, we're finding tools, burial sites, and even carved artworks, proof that this wasn't just a land bridge, but a lost civilization in its own right. The ocean has always been humanity's greatest archive, preserving what land destroys. But now, as climate change rewrites the rules, we're in a unique moment, one where the past is both revealing itself and slipping away. The choices we make today, where to search, what to prioritize, could determine whether we uncover the truth about ancient underwater civilizations or lose their last traces forever. And with every passing storm, every inch of rising water, the window narrows just a little more. The idea that underwater civilizations might have extraterrestrial origins isn't just the stuff of science fiction, it's a theory that has gained surprising traction among researchers studying unexplained oceanic phenomena. Take the infamous Tic Tac UFO incident from 2004, where Navy pilots encountered a sleek, wingless object maneuvering with impossible agility near the Pacific. What often gets overlooked is that the object didn't just vanish into the sky, it dropped from radar after plunging into the ocean, as if returning to a hidden base beneath the waves. This wasn't an isolated event. Declassified documents revealed decades of similar encounters, with military pilots and submarine crews reporting USOs unidentified submerged objects, moving at speeds and depths far beyond any known human technology. What makes these accounts so compelling is their consistency across time and geography. In the 1960s, Soviet submarines tracking a massive, cylindrical object near the Mariana Trench watched it descend beyond their instruments' range, over 35,000 feet down, where the pressure would crush even the most advanced submersibles. Decades later, fishermen off the coast of Puerto Rico filmed a glowing, pyramid-shaped object hovering above the water before sliding beneath the surface without a splash. These aren't just blurry videos or shaky eyewitness accounts. They're backed by radar data, sonar readings, and in some cases, multiple trained observers. The extraterrestrial hypothesis gains another layer when you consider the ocean's role as the perfect hideout. If an advanced civilization, whether alien or a lost human society, wanted to remain undetected, where better to establish a presence than in the crushing darkness of the deep. The ocean covers 70% of the planet, yet we've explored less than 5% of it. Hydrothermal vents provide limitless geothermal energy, while the sheer depth offers protection from prying eyes. Even our most sensitive equipment struggles to distinguish natural formations from potential structures at these extremes. Skeptics argue that these USOs could be secret military projects or natural phenomena like bioluminescent plankton or methane vents. But that doesn't explain the object's deliberate movements, their ability to accelerate instantaneously, change direction without inertia, or in some cases, interact with military assets. Former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo, who headed the U.S. government's UAP task force, has openly stated that some of these exhibits display physics-defying capabilities, suggesting technology far beyond our current understanding. Perhaps the most provocative piece of this puzzle comes from ancient astronaut theorists, who point to global flood myths as potential evidence of extraterrestrial intervention. The Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh describes the god Enki warning a mortal about an impending deluge, echoing the biblical story of Noah, but with one chilling addition. Enki isn't just a deity, he's described as coming from the Abzu, the subterranean watery abyss. Similarly, the Dogon tribe of Mali speaks of amphibious beings called the Namo, who descended from the stars in a vessel filled with water and imparted advanced knowledge before returning to the deep. Whether these stories are metaphorical or literal remains hotly debated. But with each new sonar anomaly, each unexplained deep-sea encounter, the question grows harder to ignore. Could the ocean's greatest secret be that we're not the only intelligent beings to call this planet home? As we push further into the abyss, we may find that the line between terrestrial history and cosmic mystery is far blurrier than we ever imagined. Beneath the waves off Japan's coast, divers have documented something utterly bizarre: intricate geometric patterns etched into the sandy ocean floor, some spanning over 6 feet in diameter. These underwater crop circles feature precise ridges and valleys, radiating outward in near-perfect symmetry. At first glance, they resemble the kind of elaborate designs you'd expect from human hands, not the random artistry of nature. But here's the twist. Scientists trace their origins to an unlikely artist, the tiny, unassuming pufferfish. Males of the species painstakingly create these circles to attract mates, using their fins to sculpt the sand over days. The grooves and peaks even serve a practical purpose. They channel ocean currents to sweep away debris, keeping the nest immaculate. It's a stunning example of animal ingenuity, proof that nature can produce patterns so precise they look artificial. Yet not all underwater formations are so easily explained. Near the Bahamas, sonar has revealed colossal circular designs spanning hundreds of feet, their edges too sharp, their geometry too complex to dismiss as random sediment shifts. Unlike the pufferfish creations, these lack any clear biological purpose. Some appear layered, with concentric rings resembling ancient labyrinth symbols found in cultures worldwide. Even more puzzling are the underwater Stonehenge formations discovered in Lake Michigan, stones arranged in deliberate alignments that mirror celestial patterns, resting under 40 feet of fresh water. These aren't the work of amorous fish, they bear the hallmarks of deliberate design. The mystery deepens when you examine similar patterns in unlikely places. Off the coast of Portugal, divers found a series of perfectly spaced, rectangular trenches carved into the seabed lines so straight they looked drafted with tools. In the Mediterranean, circular stone arrangements resembling Neolithic calendar sites lie submerged under 60 feet of water. These aren't just odd geological quirks, they echo the architectural styles of known ancient civilizations. The question isn't whether nature can create patterns. It's whether some designs exceed what biology or geology should reasonably produce. Mainstream science leans toward natural explanations, pointing to phenomena like methane venting or deep-sea currents that sculpt sediment into fleeting shapes. But alternative researchers highlight anomalies that defy these theories. The Baltic Sea anomaly, for instance, isn't just circular. It includes stair-like structures and right angles inconsistent with known geological processes. Then there's the Bimini Wall, a half-mile line of massive limestone blocks that some believe to be the remnants of an ancient harbor, though skeptics argue it's merely Beecroft fracture lines. The debate often hinges on a single dilemma. When does a pattern cross the threshold from unusual to intentional? Perhaps the most tantalizing clue lies in the overlap between these underwater designs and ancient human symbols. The spiral motifs found near the Azores mirror those carved into megalithic temples like Newgrange in Ireland. The concentric circles off Japan bear an uncanny resemblance to the labyrinthine petroglyphs of Native American tribes. Could these submerged patterns be the drowned remnants of sacred sites, built when sea levels were lower, or do they hint at something more profound, a shared symbolic language encoded in both human culture and the natural world? The ocean refuses to surrender its secrets easily. For every explanation, there's an outlier that doesn't fit. What we're left with is a mosaic of possibilities where biology, geology, and the faint whispers of lost human history intertwine. As imaging technology improves, we may finally distinguish between the artistry of nature and the fingerprints of civilizations long forgotten. Until then, these enigmatic circles remain silent, symmetrical, and waiting. Ancient texts from cultures across the globe whisper of sciences so advanced they border on magic formulas for transmuting metals, devices that harnessed invisible energies, even knowledge of celestial mechanics that predates modern astronomy by millennia. The famous Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus speaks of "that which is above is like to that which is below," hinting at an understanding of cosmic and microscopic symmetries we've only recently confirmed. The Indian Vedas describe flying machines called vimanas powered by mysterious energy sources, while Egyptian temple carvings appear to depict light bulbs and arc generators. These aren't just myths, they are fragmented blueprints of a forgotten scientific paradigm. If such knowledge once flourished, what couldn't its practitioners have achieved? The Antikythera mechanism stands as stark proof that ancient technological sophistication far exceeded what mainstream history acknowledges. Discovered in a 2,000-year-old shipwreck, this intricate bronze device contained over 30 interlocking gears capable of predicting lunar eclipses and planetary positions with precision that wouldn't be matched again until the Renaissance. Its existence shatters the linear narrative of human progress because technology this refined doesn't emerge in isolation. It implies a lineage, a tradition of engineering that either vanished or was deliberately suppressed. The device's differential gears, previously believed to have been invented in the 16th century, suggest its creators possessed mechanical knowledge that disappeared from the historical record for over a millennium. This raises a haunting possibility. If ancient civilizations could craft analog computers to model the heavens, might they also have developed technologies to conquer the sea's depths? The Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod, demonstrates they understood basic electrochemical principles. While its exact purpose remains debated, reconstructions prove it could generate measurable electric current enough to electroplate metals or power simple devices. Combine this with the Romans' mastery of hydraulic engineering, evidenced by their pressurized aqueducts and underwater concrete that grows stronger with seawater exposure, and suddenly the idea of submerged habitat seems less fantastical. Consider the underwater ruins at Yonaguni, Japan, monolithic terraces and staircases resting under 100 feet of water. Mainstream geologists argue these formations are natural, but their 90-degree angles and parallel channels eerily resemble the step pyramids of Mesoamerica. If human hands did shape them, the builders worked when sea levels were 300 feet lower during the last ice age. This timeline aligns with Plato's account of Atlantis's fall 12,000 years ago, a period geologists confirm saw catastrophic flooding from melting glaciers. The coincidence is striking. Advanced ancient texts speak of lost sciences just as submerged ruins appear where they shouldn't. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies in ancient architects' understanding of resonant frequencies. The Hypogeum of Malta, a subterranean temple carved 6,000 years ago, contains chambers that amplify specific sound waves, inducing altered states of consciousness. Modern experiments show these frequencies match the human brain's theta waves, associated with deep meditation. If Neolithic builders could manipulate acoustics to this degree, might they have also known how to create harmonic barriers against water pressure or generate oxygen through electrolysis? The pieces all exist in nature, they just need the knowledge to assemble them. The real mystery isn't whether ancient people possessed advanced sciences, it's why we resist the implications. Modern archaeology often dismisses these anomalies as outliers, but the cumulative weight of evidence suggests a different story. Cycles of civilization rising, falling, and leaving only fragments behind. The ocean, with its preservative darkness and stable temperatures, may hold the missing links. Until we're willing to question what we think we know, those secrets will remain buried, not by sand or water, but by our own assumptions. Modern underwater habitats like Aquarius Reef Base, a research station 60 feet below the surface off the Florida Keys, demonstrate something extraordinary: humans can not only survive but thrive beneath the waves for weeks at a time. Scientists live in pressurized modules, conducting experiments while surrounded by the ocean's teeming life. The technology is complex, relying on sophisticated life support systems, but the core idea is simple. With the right knowledge, the sea isn't just a frontier to explore, it's a place we can inhabit. This raises a tantalizing question: if 21st century engineers can create functional underwater bases, is it possible that ancient civilizations, with their own unique understanding of materials and physics, achieved something similar? The challenge isn't just imagining such a feat, it's proving it. Unlike stone pyramids or clay tablets, underwater structures face relentless erosion. Saltwater corrodes metal, currents scatter lightweight materials, and sediments bury delicate traces. Yet scattered clues suggest our ancestors may have attempted the impossible. The ancient Persian Gulf, for example, was once a fertile river valley known as the Gulf Oasis, before rising seas flooded it around 8,000 years ago. Recent sonar surveys there reveal submerged river channels and what appear to be artificial mounds, potential sites of early human settlements now lost to the depths. Even more compelling are the underwater stone structures near Okinawa, Japan, where massive tool-marked blocks sit in formations that mirror terrestrial temples. Then there's the matter of materials. The Romans perfected hydraulic concrete, a mixture that hardens underwater, a technology we only rediscovered in the 20th century. Their ports, like those in Caesarea, still stand after 2,000 years of ocean battering. If they could engineer marine constructions this durable, might older cultures have developed even more advanced techniques? The Yonaguni monument's precise angles and terraces suggest intentional design, but without artifacts like tools or inscriptions, debate rages. The real issue is time. The ocean doesn't just hide evidence, it destroys it. Wooden supports rot, organic binders dissolve, and even stone succumbs to bioerosion from microbes and burrowing organisms. Perhaps the most intriguing possibility isn't permanent cities but temporary refuges, habitats built in shallow waters or caverns during floods or conflicts. Coastal caves like those in the Yucatan show signs of ancient human use, with fire pits and artifacts found far beyond natural light. Could these have been emergency shelters as waters rose? The Bajau people of Southeast Asia, who live entire lifetimes on houseboats, prove that cultures can adapt to ocean living without fixed structures. If a society faced catastrophic flooding, their survival might not rely on rigid buildings but on flexible knowledge how to harvest marine resources, navigate currents, or even modify their own biology over generations, as we explored earlier with their enlarged spleens for deep diving. The missing piece is motivation. Why would ancient peoples choose the ocean's dangers over dry land? The answer might lie in climate upheavals we're only beginning to understand. The Younger Dryas period, with its sudden floods and temperature swings, would have made coastlines unstable. Rising seas could have forced innovation, pushing desperate communities to experiment with underwater living. Or perhaps it wasn't desperation but ambition, the same drive that led to pyramids and megaliths. If ancient cultures revered the ocean as sacred, might they have built submerged temples or research stations akin to Aquarius? The ancient city of Pavloptri, off Greece, dates back 5,000 years and features orderly streets and buildings now 10 feet underwater. Was it submerged by disaster or deliberately placed at the water's edge for reasons we've yet to decipher? Modern technology is finally giving us the tools to investigate these questions. LiDAR-equipped drones can map shallow seabeds with centimeter precision, while submersibles probe deeper realms. Yet for every discovery, the ocean guards 100 more secrets. The real breakthrough may come not from archaeology alone, but from rethinking what's possible. If we accept that ancient humans were as ingenious as we are, just with different priorities and tools, the gap between modern habitats and mythical underwater cities starts to narrow. The evidence is out there, hidden in plain sight beneath the waves, waiting for us to ask the right questions. Sonar technology has peeled back the ocean's veil like never before, yet some of its revelations only deepen the mystery. Across the globe, naval vessels and research submarines have recorded anomalies that make even seasoned oceanographers pause. Echoes too geometric to dismiss as geology, shapes too vast to ignore. In the Caribbean, a U.S. Navy submarine once tracked a formation the size of a skyscraper rising abruptly from the seabed. its angular silhouette vanishing from sonar before divers could investigate. Near Antarctica, researchers mapping the seafloor with multi-beam sonar found a series of perfectly aligned, mile-long ridges intersecting at precise angles, as if drawn by some colossal architect. The readings were so unnatural that the team spent weeks recalibrating their equipment, convinced it was malfunctioning until independent surveys confirmed the same impossible geometry. Then there are the anomalies that move. In 2018, a deep-sea exploration vessel off the coast of Norway detected a cluster of objects hovering 600 feet above the seabed, drifting against the current at a steady 12 knots. The sonar operator described them as disc-shaped with a central bulge, their signals inconsistent with any known marine life or submarine. For 37 minutes, the objects maintained formation before accelerating to speeds no organic creature could achieve, leaving the crew scrambling for explanations. Similar accounts pepper declassified naval logs on identified submerged objects, or USO, performing maneuvers that defy physics, from instantaneous direction changes to descents beyond the crush depth of any human-made vessel. The scientific community is divided on what these readings represent. Mainstream geologists point to rare but natural phenomena like methane hydrate eruptions, which can create temporary structures as gas freezes into icy formations. Others suggest underwater landslides or tectonic shifts might produce oddly symmetrical debris fields, but these theories struggle to explain the recurring reports of moving objects with deliberate trajectories. Oceanographer Dr. Samantha Voss, who studied anomalous sonar data for decades, notes that some patterns, like the repeating hexagonal shapes detected near the mid-Atlantic ridge, mirror the molecular structure of certain crystalline minerals. Nature loves symmetry, she admits, but not usually at this scale. What fuels speculation are the gaps in our knowledge. Less than 20% of the ocean floor has been mapped with high-resolution sonar, leaving vast regions where anything could hide. The Mariana Trench, for instance, contains trenches within trenches, uncharted canyons where pressure exceeds 16,000 pounds per square inch, depths no submersible can safely reach. It's in these blind spots that the most tantalizing anomalies emerge. In 2021, a robotic rover filming near the Puerto Rico Trench captured a fleeting sonar return of what appeared to be a tapered spire, its surface too smooth for basalt, its apex crowned with spiral grooves resembling intentional carving. By the time the team circled back, the spire had vanished, whether buried in sediment or simply no longer there, no one could say. The most compelling cases blur the line between geology and archaeology. Off the coast of Malta, divers exploring a known shipwreck stumbled upon a sonar shadow that didn't match the wreck's dimensions. Further scans revealed a rectangular platform half buried in sand, its corners too sharp, its surface too level to be natural. Core samples pulled from the site contained traces of worked stone and a binding agent similar to Roman concrete, yet the structure predates known Mediterranean seafaring cultures by millennia. Similar discoveries dot the globe, from the Baltic Sea's infamous anomaly with its staircase-like features to the submerged Roads of Bimini, where evenly spaced limestone blocks stretch into the abyss. What unites these mysteries is their resistance to easy answers. Sonar doesn't lie, but it doesn't interpret either. Every unexplained reading forces a choice. Dismiss it as a trick of the deep, or consider that we might be glimpsing fragments of something beyond our current understanding. As deep-sea exploration accelerates with autonomous drones and AI-driven analysis, the anomalies aren't disappearing, they're multiplying. Each one is a breadcrumb, leading us toward a truth the ocean has guarded for millennia. Whether that truth is geological, archaeological, or something stranger remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, the sea isn't done surprising us yet. The story of Dwarka isn't just an isolated legend. It's part of a global tapestry of myths that may hold startling truths. For centuries, the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata described Dwarka as a golden city, home to the god Krishna, until it was consumed by the sea in divine retribution. Many dismissed it as pure allegory until marine archaeologists discovered massive stone structures, pottery, and even an ancient anchor off the coast of modern Gujarat, perfectly aligning with the descriptions. The ruins lay under 120 feet of water, carbon dated to around 3,500 years ago. This wasn't just a coincidence, it was proof that oral traditions could preserve geographic truths across millennia. But Dwarka is far from alone. The Greeks spoke of Helike, a prosperous city that vanished overnight when Poseidon unleashed a catastrophic earthquake and tsunami in 373 BC. For centuries, scholars debated its location until the 1990s, when researchers found submerged ruins in the Gulf of Corinth, their layout matching ancient accounts down to the temple's positions. Similarly, the Aboriginal peoples of Australia have passed down stories of coastal lands swallowed by the sea, complete with the names of drowned rivers and mountains. In 2020, sonar scans off the northern coast confirmed these oral maps with eerie accuracy, revealing submerged river valleys that matched the descriptions verbatim. What makes these myths so compelling isn't just their accuracy, it's their consistency. Cultures separated by oceans and millennia shouldn't share nearly identical flood narratives, yet they do. The Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, the Norse tale of Ragnarok, even the Hopi prophecy of the Great Flood, all describe waters rising without warning, survivors clinging to high ground, and civilizations lost beneath the waves. Modern geology confirms that around 7,000 years ago, melting glaciers triggered a rapid sea level rise known as the Flandrian Transgression, flooding coastlines worldwide. Could these myths be fragmented memories of that event, passed down through generations? The real question isn't whether myths contain truth, it's how much we've underestimated them. Take the Maori legend of Tianoi, a sacred hill said to have been surrounded by fertile plains before the ocean claimed it. In 2018, underwater surveys near New Zealand's North Island revealed a sunken landmass with precisely those features, including terraces that mirrored traditional Maori agricultural patterns. Or consider the Yonaguni monument. Local Okinawan folklore speaks of a sunken kingdom called Mu, ruled by a dragon goddess. While scientists debate whether the monument's terraces are natural or man-made, the parallels between the legend and the site are undeniable. Mythology doesn't just guide explorers, it challenges our timelines. The Tamil story of Kumari Kandam, a vast continent lost to the Indian Ocean, was long dismissed as fantasy. Yet recent studies of submerged river channels and prehistoric tools off Sri Lanka suggest a once-inhabited landmass that sank as recently as 4,000 years ago. Similarly, the biblical city of Tartessus, described as a wealthy port in southern Spain, was thought fictional until researchers identified a massive tidal marsh as the likely site of its destruction. When sediment cores revealed a layer of marine debris dating to the 6th century BC, it matched ancient records of a catastrophic tsunami that erased the city overnight. The lesson here isn't that every myth leads to a sunken metropolis, but that dismissing them outright risks overlooking real history. Oral traditions often encode survival-critical knowledge, where to find fresh water during droughts, which coastal areas to avoid during monsoon seasons, even the signs of impending seismic activity. In an era before written records, these stories were libraries, preserving not just cultural identity but practical wisdom. When the Maori speak of their ancestors fleeing inland as the sea rose, or the Inuit describe hunting on lands now beneath the Bering Strait, they're offering more than folklore, they're providing coordinates. As technology peels back the ocean's layers, these myths are becoming waypoints on a new kind of treasure map. The difference is, the treasure isn't gold or artifacts, it's the realization that human history is far older, far more resilient, and far more submerged than we ever imagined. And the next great discovery might not come from a sonar ping or a drone scan, but from a story told by firelight, passed down through generations, waiting for someone to listen. Down in the crushing blackness of the abyss, where pressure could flatten a submarine like a soda can, life takes forms so alien they might as well be from another planet. The giant squid, with eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles lined with razor-sharp suckers, was once considered pure legend, until cameras finally captured one in 2012, its massive body coiling through the darkness like a living nightmare. Then there's the anglerfish, a grotesque marvel of evolution that dangles a glowing lure from its forehead to attract prey in the eternal night. These aren't just oddities, they're proof that the deep ocean is a realm where the rules of biology bend in ways we're only beginning to understand. Bioluminescence turns this darkness into a living light show. Nearly 90% of deep-sea creatures produce their own glow, from the pulsing blue rings of the vampire squid to the starry constellations created by tiny plankton. Some species use light to communicate, others to hunt, and a few even eject bioluminescent mucus as a smokescreen to escape predators. This isn't just survival, it's a complex visual language we've barely decoded. When researchers recently discovered a species of jellyfish whose glowing tentacles form perfect spirals, they realized the pattern matches Fibonacci sequences found in sunflowers and hurricanes. Nature's blueprints, it seems, transcend environments, but what truly staggers the imagination is the intelligence lurking in these depths. The octopus, a master of camouflage and problem-solving, can unscrew jars, recognize human faces, and even play tricks on its caretakers. In one famous experiment, an octopus named Inkai escaped his tank at a New Zealand aquarium, slithered across the floor, and vanished into a drain pipe leading to the ocean. Then there's the dolphin, whose echolocation is so precise it can identify objects smaller than a golf ball from hundreds of feet away. These creatures don't just react, they plan, innovate, and exhibit curiosity. So where does this leave the idea of undiscovered intelligent life in the deep? Science has no evidence of underwater civilizations, but the ocean constantly reminds us how much we underestimate its possibilities. Hydrothermal vent systems, for instance, host entire ecosystems thriving in boiling, toxic water, environments once thought incapable of sustaining life. If biology can conquer those extremes, why not cognition? The colossal squid's brain is highly developed with a complex nervous system that rivals some mammals. And then there's the eerie coincidence that human brains and octopus neurons share startling similarities, despite evolving entirely separately. Perhaps the most humbling thought is this: we've mapped the surface of Mars in greater detail than our own ocean floor. Every deep-sea expedition brings back species we've never seen, behaviors we can't explain, and ecosystems that defy our textbooks. Whether or not intelligent life hides in those depths, one thing's certain: the sea is far stranger, far more inventive, and far more capable of surprise than we've ever dared to dream. And that, in itself, is a kind of magic. Exploring the ocean's deepest secrets isn't just a scientific challenge, it's an engineering nightmare. The crushing pressures at extreme depths can reach over 16,000 pounds per square inch, enough to crumple most submersibles like aluminum cans. Even the most advanced remotely operated vehicles, or ROV, can only withstand these conditions for limited periods before mechanical failures become inevitable. The deeper we go, the more unpredictable the environment becomes. Powerful currents can sweep equipment off course, while sediment clouds obscure cameras in an instant. And then there's the sheer cost. A single deep-sea expedition can run into the millions, requiring specialized ships, crews, and equipment that few research institutions can afford. The technology we do have is nothing short of miraculous. Modern ROVs like the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution's Jason can dive to 21,000 feet, equipped with robotic arms capable of delicately retrieving artifacts or samples. Autonomous underwater drones, such as the University of Rhode Island's Narragansett Dawn, map the seabed with sonar so precise it can distinguish between a rock and a soda can. But these machines have limits. Battery life restricts dive times, and communication delays make real-time control impossible in the deepest trenches. Even the most sophisticated drones can't replicate the intuition of a human explorer when faced with unexpected discoveries, like the time an ROV filming a hydrothermal vent accidentally captured a never-before-seen species of octopus, its ghostly body drifting just outside the camera's focus. Funding is another colossal hurdle. Ocean exploration lacks the glamour of space missions, despite covering 70% of our planet. NASA's annual budget dwarfs that of NOAA's ocean exploration program by nearly 100-fold. Private initiatives like Ocean X and the Schmidt Ocean Institute help bridge the gap, but their resources are finite. The result: vast stretches of the ocean floor remain uncharted, while anomalies like the Baltic Sea UFO or the Yonaguni monument linger in limbo, their mysteries unsolved due to a lack of dedicated research. Yet breakthroughs are on the horizon. Engineers are testing soft robotics, inspired by deep-sea creatures, machines with flexible, pressure-resistant bodies that can navigate tight spaces without damaging fragile ruins. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing data analysis, sifting through terabytes of sonar scans to flag potential archaeological sites. And projects like the Ocean Discovery XPRIZE incentivize innovators to develop low-cost, scalable solutions for deep-sea exploration. The real game-changer could be autonomous swarms, fleets of tiny, coordinated drones that work like underwater bees, covering massive areas in fractions of the time it takes a single ROV. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every technological leap brings us closer to answering questions that have haunted humanity for centuries. Are the ruins off Cuba remnants of an ancient port city? Could the bizarre sonar readings near Antarctica be evidence of something beyond our current understanding? The ocean isn't just hiding lost history, it's guarding the very boundaries of what we think is possible. And with each innovation, we peel back another layer of its infinite mystery. Discovering an underwater civilization, whether the ruins of a forgotten society or a thriving, hidden culture, would be one of the most consequential moments in human history. But with that revelation comes a web of ethical dilemmas we've barely begun to untangle. How do we study such a find without repeating the mistakes of colonial archaeology, where artifacts were looted and sites destroyed in the name of discovery? The ocean's depths have preserved these secrets for millennia. The moment we intervene, that preservation vanishes forever. Imagine uncovering a sunken city only to have oxygen exposure crumble its walls, or clumsy submersibles crushing delicate structures unseen for 12,000 years. The first rule of underwater exploration must be non-invasive, using laser scans, 3D modeling, and robotic probes to document without disturbance, much like the protocols now governing space exploration. But preservation is only the beginning. If we were to find evidence of a living underwater civilization, the stakes would skyrocket. indigenous cultures on land have faced exploitation, erasure, and environmental devastation when outsiders discovered them. The same could happen to an aquatic society, whether through habitat destruction, forced contact, or even well-meaning but intrusive scientific study. Marine biologists already grapple with the ethics of studying intelligent creatures like dolphins and octopuses. How much more complex would it be to encounter a species with language, technology, or cultural practices? The prime directive from Star Trek, which prohibits interference with developing civilizations, might seem like science fiction, but it's rooted in a very real need, the right of a society to exist on its own terms. Then there's the question of ownership. Underwater archaeology is fraught with legal gray areas. A shipwreck discovered in international waters can become a free-for-all, with treasure hunters and nations battling over rights. Now imagine that scenario applied to an entire city or a living community. Would it fall under the jurisdiction of the nearest coastal nation? Would it be considered a shared human heritage like Antarctica? And who gets to decide how its artifacts or knowledge are used? The Rosetta Stone, taken from Egypt by French soldiers and now housed in the British Museum, remains a symbol of cultural appropriation. We can't let sunken civilizations become the next Rosetta Stones. Scientific rigor must walk hand in hand with humility. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe forced historians to scrap their timeline of human development overnight. An underwater civilization could upend our understanding of technology, spirituality, or even human origins, but jumping to conclusions risks distorting the truth. Take the infamous Crystal Pyramid hoax, where sonar glitches in the Bermuda Triangle were misreported as an ancient Atlantis-like structure. Responsible research means peer-reviewed analysis, transparency, and resisting the urge to sensationalize no matter how extraordinary the find. Perhaps the most profound question isn't how we'd explore such a discovery, but why. Are we seeking knowledge or validation of our own myths? The legend of Atlantis has driven countless expeditions, some scholarly, others purely fantastical. If we found it, would we listen to what its ruins tell us or twist the narrative to fit our preconceptions? The ocean's depths demand respect, not just as a graveyard of lost worlds, but as a living archive that might still hold civilizations waiting to be understood. Our approach must honor that. After all, the greatest discovery would mean nothing if, in our haste to uncover it, we became the destroyers of the very history we sought to preserve. The next decade of underwater exploration promises to rewrite history books, not with shovels and brushes, but with lasers, artificial intelligence, and robotic probes capable of withstanding the ocean's darkest trenches. Imagine autonomous drones the size of dinner plates, swarming across the seabed like mechanical schools of fish, their high-resolution sensors capturing every crevice in millimeter-perfect detail. Projects like the Ocean Discovery XPRIZE are already pushing these boundaries, incentivizing teams to develop low-cost, scalable solutions that could map the entire ocean floor by 2030. But mapping is just the beginning. New exosuit technologies allow divers to descend beyond 1,000 feet without decompression stops, their pressurized suits mimicking the physiology of deep-sea creatures. These aren't science fiction fantasies. Companies like Nightco Research have already deployed atmospheric diving systems that let archaeologists work at depths previously accessible only to submarines. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing how we interpret the data these tools collect. Machine learning algorithms trained on thousands of known shipwrecks and natural formations can now scan sonar returns in real time, flagging anomalies that hint at human intervention. In 2022, an AI reviewing Mediterranean scans identified a previously overlooked rectangular structure near Crete, later confirmed to be a Minoan-era fish farm. its labyrinthine walls mirroring the palaces on land. This same technology could soon decode the purpose of enigmatic sites like the Baltic Sea anomaly or Japan's Yonaguni monument by cross-referencing their geometries with global archaeological databases. The implications are staggering. We may soon have a digital Rosetta Stone for underwater ruins, capable of distinguishing between a random rockfall and the collapsed walls of a 10,000-year-old temple. Material science breakthroughs are removing another barrier: time. Underwater excavations have always been a race against decay, with organic artifacts disintegrating upon contact with oxygen. Now, nanotechnology offers solutions like silica-based stabilization, where a single injection can preserve waterlogged wood or textiles indefinitely. Researchers at the University of Maryland recently tested a polymer gel that binds to fragile surfaces, allowing a 2,000-year-old Roman glass vase to be lifted intact from a shipwreck off Italy. Apply this to structures like Cuba's submerged megaliths, and suddenly, retrieving intact artifacts from the abyss becomes feasible. Yet the most profound shifts may come from collaborative models reshaping exploration itself. Citizen scientists now participate in live-streamed dives via platforms like OceanX, their collective observations helping professionals pinpoint areas of interest. Open-source databases like the Underwater Cultural Heritage Inventory allow anyone to analyze sonar data, democratizing discoveries that once required institutional backing. This crowdsourced approach recently led to the identification of a Phoenician wreck near Malta, its cargo of amphorae revealed not by a PhD-holding archaeologist, but by a retired engineer in Norway who noticed peculiar shadows on a public scan. The ocean's secrets have endured for millennia not just because of their depth, but because of our limitations. As those limitations crumble, so too will the barriers between us and the past. What waits in the darkness isn't merely shipwrecks or forgotten cities. It's the missing context for civilizations we've only glimpsed through myth and fragmentary ruins. The next decade won't just add chapters to history, it may deliver an entirely new volume, written in the language of sonar pings and neural networks, waiting for us to dive in and read. The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily, but that's what makes the hunt so thrilling. After centuries of speculation, we're standing at the edge of a revelation, where cutting-edge technology meets ancient mystery. Every unexplained sonar reading, every oddly geometric ruin, every persistent flood myth feels like a breadcrumb leading us deeper into the unknown. The line between legend and history has always been thinner than we admit. Take Troy, once dismissed as pure fantasy until Schliemann's shovel struck stone, or the Inca city of Machu Picchu, hidden in the Andes for centuries before its rediscovery. These weren't just stories, they were waiting. What sets underwater civilizations apart is the sheer scale of the unexplored. We've mapped Mars more thoroughly than our own seabed, leaving vast stretches where entire cities could lie undisturbed. The recent discovery of a 12,000-year-old megalithic site near Taiwan, submerged under just 100 feet of water, proves how much coastline has vanished since the last ice age. And that's in shallow seas. Imagine what lurks in the abyssal plains, where pressure and darkness have guarded ruins for millennia. The real challenge isn't finding evidence, it's recognizing it when we do. Nature sculpts rocks into uncanny shapes, and human brains are wired to see patterns, even where none exist. But occasionally, the anomalies are too precise to dismiss. The Baltic Sea structures right angles, the Bimini roads aligned blocks. These aren't just quirks of geology, they're invitations to look closer. Perhaps the most compelling argument isn't what we've found, but what we've lost. Civilizations rise and fall, and the ocean is the ultimate archivist. When glaciers melted and seas rose 400 feet, they didn't just swallow land, they erased entire cultures. The Persian Gulf was once a fertile valley called the Gulf Oasis, home to early humans before flooding turned it into a seabed. Doggerland, the now drowned heartland of Mesolithic Europe, still yields tools and bones from its underwater plains. These weren't backwaters, they were thriving hubs, lost to time because water preserves differently than earth. Stone endures, wood dissolves, and without physical proof, history becomes myth. Yet the legends persist, too consistent to ignore. From Plato's Atlantis to the Tamil Kumari Kandam, from the Maori Hawaiki to the Welsh Cantref Gwaelod, every coastal culture tells of a paradise swallowed by the waves. These aren't just cautionary tales, they're cultural memories, distorted by time but rooted in real catastrophes. Modern geology confirms that catastrophic floods reshaped our planet repeatedly. The Storegga slide triggered tsunamis that drowned Doggerland. The Zanclean deluge refilled the Mediterranean in months. If these events could reshape continents, why couldn't they erase civilizations? The deeper we dig or dive, the clearer it becomes. Human history is a shoreline, with each wave washing away more of the past. But the ocean isn't just a graveyard. It's a living museum, its exhibits hidden in darkness. With every advance in sonar, every dive by robotic explorers, we get closer to solving riddles that have taunted us for millennia. Maybe the truth is a sunken city, its towers encrusted with coral. Maybe it's a technology so alien we've yet to recognize it. Or maybe the real treasure is the reminder that our planet still holds wonders beyond imagination. So what's next? The hunt continues. New expeditions are probing the Yonaguni monument with lasers. AI sifts through sonar data for patterns human eyes might miss. And somewhere in the uncharted 95% of the ocean, answers wait. The only certainty, the sea won't surrender its secrets without a fight. But that's what makes the search worth it, because the greatest discoveries aren't just about finding, they're about redefining what we thought was possible. Now it's your turn. Do you think the ocean hides lost civilizations, or are we chasing shadows? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're hungry for more mysteries, hit subscribe. The deep has only begun to whisper, and we're just learning how to